All right, we ready to go?
Yep.
All right, good evening, everybody. It's 5:34. I'm doing my best Paul Pulaski impression this evening. I'm Brian Ogalski, and I'm going to be starting the meeting this evening. And I think we kick off with a roll call from John.
Yep. 1 second.
I think Lori's here, so she's going to do the roll call. Yep.
You want me to do it, John?
Yeah, I thought you were, but I.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to go down the John Gutzmer,
Present.
Jennifer,
Yes, here.
Brian,
Here.
Brandon,
Present.
Kim,
Here.
Todd Taylor, Sherry Gittens, Trisha, Elizabeth,
Here.
Nate,
Here.
Beth, Ladd,
Present.
Tom Majors, Adriana, Katie,
Yes. Here.
Dion,
Present.
Yvonda, Shauna,
Here.
Erica, Lupe,
Here.
Joe,
Present.
Tanya, Felipe,
Present.
Christy, Juanita, and Will.
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve our agenda this evening?
So moved.
Second.
We need to roll call again?
No, I think we need to say if anybody is opposed, maybe.
Okay, are there any opposed to the agenda? Okay, then the agenda is approved. We have one citizen statement that I will read right now. Dear members of the Equity Task Force, regarding item 5.1 on the agenda, it is essential that the district uses the appropriate quantitative data for the equity audit. There are guidelines for school districts set up by the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine with a detailed list of what data to collect for a comprehensive equity audit. It shows in nice tables what to measure, what data to use, examples of data collection instruments, etc. It starts with data on pre-K, kindergarten readiness, and assessments in kindergarten and goes all the way to post-graduation. These data are indicators of educational equities and will also be used to measure progress towards equity. The publication can be downloaded for free from the National Academies Press, and there are links. In addition to the indicators listed in the above publication, there's data more specific to our district, such as the busing to elementary schools, which was the subject of a complaint filed with the OCR in the past. The purpose of this audit is not just to see the disparities, but also to use the data to identify the relation between the gaps and locate cause and effect. It's crucial for deciding where the focus of our equity work. To illustrate this, consider the statement of need you wrote in the Educational Equity Policy document. In there, 4 of the 7 affirmations were about academic disparities. Disparities in academic performance, graduation rates, enrollment and success in advanced classes, and post-high school success. 3 of these affirmations are about academic disparities in high school and beyond. However, the main cause for these may already occur in elementary school. Consider the prerequisites for enrolling in advanced courses in high school. For example, in the UHS course description for AP Prep Comp 9, it says the course is designed for highly motivated and exemplary freshmen who read significantly above grade level and who have mastered 5-paragraph expository compositions. But if we look at the IAR data from 2019, less than 15% of the 8th graders were proficient in ELA, and of these, only 1.3% exceeded grade level, none of which were minorities. We see a similar pattern in both ELA and math for the 5th graders entering middle school. This shows that the main cause for the gap in the numbers of minorities participating in advanced courses in high school is lack of preparation. Therefore, efforts to close this gap should be directed at middle school and even more so at the elementary schools. Based on the guidelines of the National Academies, I would like to emphasize a few points. 1, standardized tests are particularly important as they give the district a way to compare schools and provide a baseline comparison for state average, to state average. It's important to remember that standardized tests here are not used for measuring the achievement of an individual student, but rather they are used as a collection of data points to measure the performance of groups of students. 2, the data collected should also be segregated by elementary schools and special subgroups and include access to pre-K and kindergarten preparedness assessment per elementary school. In K through 5, use the fall and spring district and state assessments, BAS, MAP, IR, PARC, etc., to track progress per elementary school. For English learners, use the data the district report to the state, such as English proficiency score from Access and the time to achieve proficiency. Special to our district, within the Spanish DL program, which includes about a quarter of our students, we need to look at the achievement gap of special students, special groups, such as minorities who are native English speakers and low-income students. I'd like to add that community involvement in the equity audit process is important. Currently, the only way to give feedback and communicate with the Equity Task Force is through citizen comment. There should really be some open online space for that, such as a Facebook group or other types of online forums. Sincerely, Ruth Kantorovitz. Okay, that I believe is the only public comment. Is that right? Okay, so we're going to move on.
Brian,
to...
I also need to read a statement from the lawyers. Just a reminder that this is a public meeting in accordance with the Open Meeting Act. Members of the public are allowed to attend but not participate except for the public comment portion. Non-committee members should remain muted with their video off. If non-committee members are not complying with the meeting rules, they will be given a verbal warning and then removed from the meeting.
Okay, perfect. So then we will move on to our topics. Topic 5.1 is the review and update of equity audit timeline and next steps. So I will turn it over to Dr. Brandon Caffey.
Good evening, everyone. We have a relatively short agenda, but an important one. So just to give you a follow-up, on Tuesday, April 12th, I did meet with Dr. Dubiel, in which we kind of outlined the immediate next steps for the equity audit. And so the first thing that we need to determine moving into phase 1 is selecting a date to actually conduct the first meeting. And the first meeting of phase 1 is going to be about a 6 to 7, perhaps 8-hour meeting with our team in which we will actually set the course for the audit. We will do a needs assessment. We would look at different data that we want to collect during the audit process. And so the team and this date becomes very, very important. And so we are on a tight timeline, unfortunately. So we're looking at a couple possible dates. We have 3 potential dates in June that we could select and 2 in August. According to Dr. Dubiel, her preferred dates would be June 13th and 14th, but we also have the 15th as an option. And then we have August 11th and August 12th. And so we will need to select a potential date during this meeting that we believe will best fit our respective calendars. And so at this point, I can open it up for conversation or debate about what individuals might prefer.
So I know August, I'm looking at a lot of people that are going to be opening buildings the week before school starts. So I just kind of speaking for the group and just, I don't know, I think you guys chime in, but I see a lot of head nodding. I didn't know if anybody was going to jump right out and say that. So I'm kind of saying it for you. I kind of think the June dates, and I know we have teachers here who are not on calendar. So if you guys, of course, participate, you be compensated for that time because you're, outside of your window of. Brandon's going to talk a little bit more about maybe moving forward those who want to continue to participate, because not everybody may not be interested in the. So you want to talk about that part, Brandon? Yeah, continuing.
We'll kind of move forward if we can kind of hold off on that conversation just a bit, because I think it'll go more in line when we actually, if we're going to rename the committee. And so we can kind of discuss that then. But if we can kind of look at, it looks like August may be off the table.
Well,
you
I
know,
just threw that out there. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I know we have a lot of people connected to buildings that are
Which-
starting school at that time.
which
Could
is
you
not-
repeat the dates
Yeah,
again?
please. Thank you.
right. So we would have June 13th, 14th, or 15th. And then we would be looking at August 11th or 12th.
I would prefer June for the same reasons that Dr. Ivy Tatum said. August can be very challenging.
Would it be online again, or would this be an in-person situation?
So that's the second thing we'll have to determine if we're going to do in person or virtual. So we could do either or.
6 hours is a long time for a virtual. So if we did in person, then we could have a lunch break and get up and move around breaks and.
Yeah, I think it gives an opportunity to have the auditor actually on site more immediately, and then to start making those connections with the team members and perhaps getting out into the community. So I would prefer on site as well.
Dr. Caffey, can I ask you just a quick question? Is this group here going to be synonymous with what she calls the DELT group, or are these two independent meetings?
So again, that's point 3 that we'll have to determine. It can be, the danger in that is that we actually have parents on the equity task force. And as the next group or next phase of this committee moves forward, there's going to be information shared that parents who are not district employees will not be privy to. And so that'd be a part of the conversation, is why we also have to determine if we're going to keep the same name or change it as recommended.
So, but Brandon, what you're saying is the dates that we're choosing now, though, parents would be able to be.
They could be.
Yes,
Parents
okay,
would
got it.
participate in this initial meeting, but they would just have to understand that at the end of the audit, when this team reassembles to start doing the equity action planning and getting more into the data of the audit, they will not be able to participate in that aspect because we'll be looking specifically at student data.
With names and identifiable stuff, yeah.
Yes, we can keep parents. We have the autonomy to determine this group, whether we want to include parents, board members, or just make it district employees. We have that autonomy.
I think we have a nice cohesive group. So as long as there are things that parents can participate in, I think we should allow them to do that. So Kim, do you have the summer calendar? I was just trying to look for it. I thought I had it pulled up.
I will pull it up. Give me a minute.
And Felipe, I saw your hand up. If you want to just jump in, go right ahead.
Sure, yeah. So I had a question regarding the, I'm not speaking on my behalf. So I have a question regarding the participation of parents and how do we make this, parents need to be excluded. It's completely understandable. The reasons are logic. However, sometimes logic is not a good way to convince people. So how are we gonna present this to the rest of the community, saying that parents are not gonna be included in the process? I would suggest that because we wanna have the support of the parents and we wanna try to find out avenues where they can still participate while we explain that there are probably gonna be places where they cannot. I think that if we phrase it this way, we are gonna be immediately avoiding people going off the rails.
So I would answer that in twofold. One, we want to establish a parent equity committee or task force, if you will, specifically for parents that will work independent of this group, since parents can't be included in that data portion of the equity audit. So that's number one. And then number two, of course, there will be focus groups specifically for parents in order to be a part of the process and give their input in terms of their perceptions and what they would like to see happen and emerge from our audit process. But probably most importantly, we will establish a committee specifically for parents.
So Kim, am I reading the summer calendar right? The summer programs the first day is the 13th, right?
Correct, yes,
Okay.
for ESSER.
I don't know, because Tom, well, I'm trying to think of who in this group is part of those summer school programs. We probably don't want it to be on that first day. So maybe that the 15th, that Wednesday. Who all, does everybody here know if they're doing summer school?
Yeah, UMS starts that week, but
UMS starts that week, okay.
we'll have
And-
coordinators or other people able to, by Wednesday especially, would be fine.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. By Wednesday, I'm looking at the rest of the list.
UECS starts that week too, but the coordinator will be overseeing it, so.
So by Wednesday, things would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
settled down.
And luckily, we don't have any professional development. It's mainly summer programming.
Elizabeth and Nate, are you guys teaching this summer? Okay. Will, are you teaching summer school?
Not summer school this year, nope.
Oh, awesome. So that's good. I'm looking at the people who aren't here. Sherry Gittens, do you know if she's doing Lupe? Is Sherry doing the DPW? And Adriana will have a program in her building. But I kind of would think by Wednesday, you guys think things would be Wednesday, you know, so administrators could be out of the building for a chunk of that time. So you guys think 15th?
The 15th sounds like the preferred date, at least at this point.
Shauna, as you guys have you guys don't have a program or anything going. You do, but you can be kind of.
Yes, our summer programming shouldn't interfere with my ability to come to the meeting.
I personally will be out of town that week, but I know June's better than August for everyone, so I could possibly Zoom in if there was some kind of, but I'll be on vacation that week.
I think that applies to me too. But I understand that August is not a good time either.
We could offer some kind of hybrid, but I hate for you guys to give up a whole day of your vacation. But I mean, we could offer some kind of hybrid option where if there were, you know, really important times that you needed to be, you could hop in a Zoom and come in. I'll leave that up to you to decide how you want to do that.
Yeah, if there were specific moments that would, you know, an hour or an hour and a half, maybe I got to check with my family on that, but I could probably still do it from the beach.
Okay, so as of now, we're looking at June 15th with a preference for in-person, correct? All right, so point number 3, again, just to revisit, whether we leave parents on this initial phase or not, do we want to change the name to the District Equity Leadership Team or leave it the same as the Equity Task Force? My recommendation would probably be to change the name only because we don't want to confuse the public that this is going to be the same committee underneath the purview of the Board of Education. This new committee will actually be underneath the purview of Dr. Ivory Tatum and myself. And so, but again, we have the autonomy to change the name or leave it the same. And so I will take recommendations from the group about what we want to do in terms of naming the group moving forward.
I would say change the name. That way we can, as we have these other parent advocacy groups, we can still have the task force as a separate thing.
I agree with John that changing the name would make sense because then it would be 2 separate things and it would avoid confusion, like you just said.
All right, thank you. Is anybody in oppose to changing the name, in opposition to changing the name?
Can you just can you clarify real quick? So Just,
I
you know,
was just getting ready to do that, Brian.
thank you.
Yep.
Given that we're in a public meeting, it's a slightly confusing exactly what's being proposed relative to actually changing the name of a committee that is a board committee, or are you really is this group charging a different group that you're naming something else? Or talk us through the pros and cons just so we're all very clear on this.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I was gonna say I can do that. So this is a board committee, and the board has at this point kind of met their charge for the committee in terms, now that we've secured a contract, we're entering into the equity auditing process. So the scope of the work for the original group, you know, we've got our policy out there that is you know, been sitting out there for a year. It's kind of lost a little momentum. I haven't been able to get around to as many spaces to talk about that. But so basically, I don't want to use the word disbanded, because the committee wasn't actually, there wasn't like an actual formal vote. I brought the recommendation to the board. The board said, great, yes, that is we love this idea, go for it. So there wasn't like a action vote. So if there were, then we would be kind of having to go to the board for action to not have to have the monthly meetings like we've been meeting. So basically we're not charging another group, Brian. I think what we're doing is we're taking the current group that exists and their function is changing to more of a district equity leadership team. So everybody will kind of have different activities. We won't meet in this monthly format anymore. So like Brandon mentioned, there'll be a parent group that will have activities. We'll have the focus groups. There'll be times when we have very specific tasks that we will scope out during that 6-hour meeting that we're talking about having in June, to be really clear of what those tasks will be. But our monthly, every month meeting to kind of come up with, we just won't be doing that, because now we'll be doing the work to pull together the items. There'll be times where we won't meet with you guys for quite a while, because the work will be happening, behind the scenes with Dr. Dubiel and Dr. Caffey. So we would pull people together as needed. Does that make sense? More sense? Okay. Clarifying questions about that, or Brent, yeah, you can add to it, Dr. Caffey.
So I just want to make sure that we're clear, especially for any members of the public who may be listening, that again, this new committee would not fall under the OMA. Because again, it's going to be under the purview of the superintendent and myself, and not the Board of Education any longer. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear. And that's one of the benefits to changing the name, so there is no confusion in case anyone thought that we are in violation of the OMA.
So Brandon has a small suggestion, which I think at the end, the outcome is going to be the same, but for transparency, I would suggest that we, I don't want to use the word disband either, but I would say that we, we conclude the scope of the group and we create another one, because, they're going to be under different rules. It's going to be under a different purview. It's going to have a different governance, and it's going to have different meetings. So I would suggest that rather than changing the name, we end the group and create a new one with an overlap of membership, but not the same membership.
I like that, Felipe, to say conclude, because we have kind of finished the charge of what we were asked to do, the big group, at least of the remaining members who are left of that original 35-ish people. So.
Yeah. What I would like to know is, because I know that we put a lot of, sentiment and energy on the charter, or on the mission statement that we wrote together, and that was part of the mission of this group. And I would like to maybe we could have some plan of how we want to make it give it more exposure within
Yes.
the community. So people are aware of, because, you know, it's at the same time, it's kind of like a value statement of where we stand, you know, a year ago, you know, like last summer and between last summer and this summer.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I was kind of alluding to that. I think the original plan was to be able to go out into more spaces and share the policy. I think I only did that at a couple schools. The year just got very busy. And, you know, I think I went to UMS, Yankee Ridge. So we do need to do that. And maybe that's something we can talk about on the 15th. I know right now everybody has so many activities, it would be really difficult to get into those spaces, to have, you know, for me to come to staff meetings and things like that at this point in the year. But I agree, Felipe. We worked really, really hard on that and we spent a lot of time on it. I know we've shared it with principals, we've shared it with teachers, but we haven't been able to get it out into the community spaces as much, so.
Yeah, I mean, is it possible? So the social media of USD116 is excellent, and you know, I think we all love. You know, maybe this is something that we could use. I mean, I yesterday or today I saw the short videos of the people that got recognition from recognition awards, and you know, maybe we could do something similar to make it, you know, because we want to do this inside of the buildings to get buy-in from all of us, but at the same time we also want to give it a face to the outside community.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
All right. So next, I am going to actually release a survey, probably sometime tomorrow morning or afternoon, just kind of polling this particular group to see if you're still willing to participate in the next phase of the group. This new equity team will need to be at minimum 25 people, at maximum 35. And again, we want to make it as diverse as possible. So it looks like we want to still engage parents on this initial committee. We want to make sure that we have good BIPOC representation, people who maybe have different identities in terms of sexual orientation, and make sure that we're hitting the different types of equities that we want to examine in our policy and have good representation across the board. And so if you have individuals who are not currently on this committee, but that you think might be a good fit, please send those names and recommendations to me. But I will, again, poll the group tomorrow to see about your willingness to continue to participate in the next phase.
And what I'm going to do is go back to remember we had an original application process and we just didn't want the group to be too large. I think Dr. Dubio wants around 25, 30 people. Is that
25 to 30, and I'm looking at 30 maybe as the target number.
so? So again, I think we can, kind of, you're going to send that to even the people who have kind of stopped coming a little bit.
Yes, I'm going to send it to everyone who's currently tied to the Equity Task Force.
Okay. Did you mention, so one group that we do not have as part of this, and we didn't actually even have anybody apply, is a support staff member. So that is that. Did you mention that, Dr. Caffey, that we need to have a support staff member? So if you guys could all be, that is like an ESP person for our parents. So, anybody who is like not an administrator, not a teacher, a teaching assistant, or somebody in more of a support role. We didn't have anyone in that capacity apply. So I don't have anybody to even go back and kind of, tap into to ask them if they like to participate. So if you guys are thinking of anyone.
Absolutely. No, thanks for mentioning that. So again, with the number looking at roughly around 30 people, we know that some individuals by nature have to be on the committee. So like our superintendent, myself, perhaps some other directors, but we want, again, to make this as diverse as possible. So the committee is, stands up against any kind of critique, if you will. So the last thing that we really need to decide tonight for the purposes of the next phase is looking at the week to conduct the focus groups. And so the focus groups will take place over the course of a week, one continuous week, in which Dr. Dubio will be on site. And then she will do one day of virtual focus groups for individuals who can't make it. to the on-site focus groups. And so right now, her preferred week is the week of October 17th. And when I glanced at next year's calendar, I didn't see anything that I thought would be troublesome, but of course I don't have access to everybody's individual calendars. If October 17th did not work, we could do it as early as September 19th, but I know that is a shortened week. That's the end of the first grading period. I believe we have Institute that Friday. Otherwise, go ahead.
These are evening time. Is this all, are these evening times?
So she's going to actually do 6 hours worth of focus groups during the day. So we would probably be doing some focus groups with students during the day and then look to do focus groups with parents in the evening.
Okay, that's helpful.
And so she would start as early as 8 a.m. and would conclude by 8:30 p.m. with focus groups lasting exactly 1 hour for each one.
Yeah, other than that, then the 17th being the end of the quarter, the end of that kind of grade quarter. Let's see. It's not conferences, right?
Oh, that's the next week.
Yeah, okay. You've got it pulled up, Todd?
Yeah, I don't see any, we don't have any conferences or days off or anything along there that I've seen.
So again, yeah, when I glanced, it looked like the week of the 17th of October would work better than the 19th of September. Again, otherwise we'd have to wait until December, which pushes our timeline back a little bit too far.
And then when you say evening, like 6 o'clock-ish, because I want to be able to make sure we're collecting dates from like all the band and music and, you know, all those things for next year already. They kind of, a lot of that stuff works a year in advance. So
Right.
if we can block out a couple nights that week to make sure we don't conflict with any concerts or, you know, family focus. Dion's probably already got her dates picked out for next year, if I know her. So, yeah.
Which
So
we could
we can
probably
put
tie
these on.
together, which we could probably tie together with the family focus, since we're going to be polling, you know, conducting focus groups with our parents.
Oh,
So
that's a good idea.
that align together.
A family forum rather, not family focus. Yep, that's a really good idea.
So can anyone identify any reason not to hold it the week of the 17th for our focus groups?
And we can share that out with principals. You guys start planning your community roundtables this early too for next year. Okay, so we'll make sure Dr. Caffey to share that if once, you know, if that's the will of the group to, so principals can avoid that for their PTA community roundtable like meetings too.
All right. Okay. So those were the 4 specific things that I needed to cover, and I will forward this information back to Dr. Dubiel tomorrow. So Dr. Ivory Tatum, unless you have anything else for the group.
I did want to let the group know we had an as needed May meeting. I'm trying to find it right now. Winner, chicken dinner to whoever can get to it before me. I thought we had a day on the calendar in May. Did I make that up? Maybe
I've
not.
seen it on our calendars.
I know it's on our calendar. I'll find it, but it doesn't matter because we're going to, again, like we explained earlier, we won't be meeting at monthly. So we'll make sure that we go online and cancel that, and we'll note that it's canceled on the board committee section and on our website where we have all of the committee meetings kind of scheduled in for the year. So we'll cancel it there as well. And then I'll remove it from your calendars. So.
All right. Well, other than that, look forward to receiving the survey from me tomorrow, in which you can indicate your desire or lack thereof to continue to participate with this group as assembled. And so, unless there's anything else, any other comments, I will ask Mr. Ogowski to adjourn the meeting.
Yes, I will entertain a motion to do so.
Katie raised her hand.
Second. All right, Kim. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned at 6:09.
Right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.